walk you through how to write a 5-paragraph expository essay. So remember our expository writing expectations or rules. We can't use contractions. We aren't allowed to use first or second person personal pronouns. If you're writing a 1-digit number, it needs to be written in word form. We're going to be super careful to avoid being repetitive. We're going to use transition words to start our main point sentences, but we are not going to use a transition word at the start of the conclusion. Okay, so here are some recommendations that I've come up with after teaching 5th grade students how to write for several years. Do not start a sentence with like. It's not going to set you up for success. So instead, if you want to use like, you can use it toward in the middle of a sentence to add on specific examples. For example, you could say, mothers do countless things for their children every day, comma, like preparing meals, driving them to events, and helping with homework. This is a great way to get specific with your examples. If you're wanting or you found the word like at the start of your sentence, you've probably written a fragment or a sentence that doesn't make sense. So let's replace that word like with for example or however. Follow with a comma. Sorry, there should be a comma here. So you'd use your transition word and a comma, and then you can follow it with an independent clause that has a subject and a verb to form a complete sentence. So another way to get specific with our examples is we can use compound and complex sentences to add more details. So here I've got a complex sentence. I can start with an independent clause and give an example with a dependent clause. My mom is selfless because she puts the needs of others above her own. Remember, if it is a dependent clause after an independent clause, we don't put a comma before the subordinate conjunction that joins them. Now, here's an example of using a compound sentence with 2 independent clauses to add more details. I've got an independent clause, a comma fanboy, and another independent clause. She is very busy, comma, but she still makes time for me even when it's inconvenient for her. Now, this is adding on, it's still not super specific, so I would probably follow up this sentence with another sentence specifically telling me a time when she has or regularly sets aside time for you even when it's inconvenient. Okay, so remember guys, when we are doing our informative expository writing, every sentence has already been assigned a specific job. So you need to make sure that you're looking at the instructions and you're remembering the job that each sentence is supposed to do. Just like I said already in a million lessons, right? If I stood up in front of our class and started teaching a math lesson, it might be a beautiful lesson, but it would be pointless because that's not my job. My job is to teach you writing. So I need to make sure I am doing the job that I am supposed to do to accomplish my goal. And then in your case, to get a good grade. So here's an outline of a 5-paragraph essay from the textbook. Parents, please keep in mind, I know this is super, super simple, and you're probably maybe like freaking out, like, oh my goodness, there's not even a concluding sentence. What is going on? So just keep in mind, we're doing baby steps in 5th grade. This is our first expository 5-paragraph essay. And so we're just going to start with baby steps, and then we will add on more as the year goes. And then, of course, every grade, the teachers will add on more and increase the expectations. So just trust that we know what we're doing and we're giving your child all that they can handle at this point, and then we will slowly build on more as the year goes. Okay, so this is just a list of some transition words that we can use in our expository writing. Please note that some teachers do teach that you should start a concluding paragraph with a conclusion, with a transition like in conclusion or in summary. But other teachers are of the opinion that this is poor writing and not going to set you up for success. So the teachers in the upper school told me they do not want me training you to start the conclusion with a transition word, because then that would just be a habit you would have to break in high school. So we're going to start now doing it the way the teachers at Preston would want you to do it when you're in upper school. Okay, so here is an introduction. So let's walk through. I already did a huge lesson on how to write an introduction and conclusion. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. And if you want more details, you can go see my video that just focuses on the introduction and conclusion. Okay, so we have learned that when we are writing an introduction for an expository essay in 5th grade, so keep in mind, parents, we are simplifying to set foundational skills, and the expectation will increase from year to year. So if you're helping your child with this, please don't try to get them to do a sentence structure beyond this at this point, because I'm grading based on, did you follow the expectations that we talked about in class and that are on the rubric. Okay, so here's how we're doing it in 5th grade. We are starting with a topic sentence, and the expectation is that this is a general, very general sentence that lists the topic and includes a general number word like some, many, several, and so on. So here's one that gets the job done for 5th grade. Prestonwood Baptist Church provides several celebrations for families to participate in throughout the year. Now, I have my extra information sentence. It says optional on that slide. I meant to cover that up. It's not optional. We are going to write this middle sentence, and its job is to basically bridge the gap between the topic sentence and the 3-point sentence. But when I taught it that way the first time, kids kind of started writing random sentences in the middle. So now I'm explaining it more as like, okay, just think of this as a supporting sentence to add on to the sentence above it. So it needs to be related, make it a tiny bit more specific than the sentence above it, but definitely not super specific, because we are saying general in our introduction, and then we'll say the specific details for our body. And then we get to the 3-point sentence. So the expectation for this sentence in 5th grade is we are going to list the 3 main points that we'll be writing about in our essay, and it's very important that we list them in the same order that our paragraphs will be later. This is just building the foundation for students to learn how to write a true thesis statement when they're older. So here's a sentence that gets the job done for 5th grade. 3 of the most popular activities the church hosts are Gift of Christmas, the Christmas tree lighting festival, and the Easter party. Now, moving on to my second paragraph. So this would be my first main point. So right here, I listed Gift of Christmas first. So I have to write about that paragraph first in my body. So I've started with a transition word to signal this is my first main point. First and foremost, Gift of Christmas is an extravagant performance that Prestonwood puts on every year in the weeks leading up to Christmas. That's my main point. Now I'm following it with 3 supporting sentences. Each of these supporting sentences needs to be more specific than my topic sentence, and it's very important. Stay on topic. Whatever I wrote about in my topic sentence, I need to be telling more about that in my supporting sentences. So here are 3 sentences that get the job done for 5th grade. The first part of the show consists of hundreds of children singing and dancing at Santa's workshop. The second half of the show is also a huge production, but it's more serious and is meant to share the story of Jesus' birth. The finale is the most astonishing part because they bring out camels, zebras, sheep, and many other animals to act out the 3 wise men coming to see Jesus. It is quite a sight to behold. Okay, as I'm reading this, I'm realizing this sounds like an opinion and this sounds like an opinion. So if I was revising this essay for if the assignment was to be informative, I might go back and change those a little bit to sound a little bit more factual and less of an opinion. Okay, so that's my first main point paragraph, first paragraph in my body. Okay, so here is the third paragraph in my essay, but it's the second paragraph in my body, my second main point. And it's going to follow the exact same structure as the body paragraph that we just read. So in this one, my main point is telling about the Christmas tree lighting festival. During the Christmas season, Prestonwood Baptist Church also has the Christmas tree lighting festival. Now, I want to highlight something here. I am teaching you guys to start with a transition word to introduce your main points. Now, that's not 100% always the rule. Really, the rule is whatever my first sentence in this paragraph is, it needs to connect to the sentence above it. So if it's awkward to start all of your sentences with a transition word, this also right here still gets the job done, because I'm connecting this to be like, hey, I'm telling you another thing that we do in the Christmas season. So this would still work as a transition. Okay, so now I'm getting onto my supporting sentences, which remember, they have to be on topic. So they have to be more specific, telling me about the Christmas tree lighting festival. This event is geared towards younger children, but it also has something to offer for the whole family. At the festival, there are hay rides, inflatables, and a pretend Polar Express, and much more. The culmination of the evening is the countdown and Christmas tree lighting at 6:30 p.m. Okay, students, if you're reading this, you might be like, oh my goodness, there's a prepositional phrase at the start of the sentence and Miss Oswald didn't put a comma. So I am teaching you guys to put a comma after every prepositional phrase at the start of the sentence, and I taught it to you kind of as a hard and fast rule to avoid confusion. The actual rule is if the prepositional phrase is super short, it's the writer's choice. And I just thought in this sentence, it kind of sounded a little choppy to add the comma there, so I left it out. Okay, moving on to the last sentence. The culmination of the evening is the countdown and Christmas tree lighting at 6:30 p.m. Sorry, guys, I just thought of something I did not mention on the last slide. Okay, please note, at this point in the school year, in 5th grade, when we're just learning this, we are not writing concluding sentences at the end of our paragraph. When you get older, every paragraph is going to need to end with a concluding sentence. However, that tends to be the hardest sentence for students to write, especially without making their writing sound super repetitive. And thankfully, the textbook, the writing textbook for our class at this point in the year does not require you to write the concluding sentence yet. So, woohoo, yay! So glad we are still in 5th grade and we get to simplify things. But buckle up and get ready because next year and later in our year in 5th grade, we will be adding concluding sentences. Okay, so this would be the final paragraph in my body, but the 4th paragraph in my essay as a whole. And it's following the same structure as all my other body paragraphs. So here's my main point. Finally, members of the community are invited to attend an Easter celebration in April. And remember, my supporting sentences must be on topic. They're telling me more about Easter celebrations at Prestonwood. So here we go. It is always very crowded, and there are usually long lines, which can be frustrating for little children. So you will want to keep that in mind before you head over to the church. Now here, I am adding on with a more specific idea, so I'm using a transition within my paragraph to tell more. For example, comma, because there are so many children in attendance, they have to do one egg hunt after another throughout the morning. It can take up to 45 minutes before your child can participate in a hunt. And now I'm using this transition to add on another idea, a related idea. So similarly, the petting zoo is a fan favorite because children can feed and hold so many adorable animals. But there's always a very long wait for this as well. So all of these sentences are making the point that, hey, yeah, there is a lot to do with the Easter celebration. Now, in the order of this sentence kind of goes like general, a little more general, and then these two kind of are adding on to this point. So my point that I made here was that it's very crowded. So that in these two sentences after that, I'm kind of backing that point up even more and giving examples of how it's crowded. Okay. And then we get to the conclusion. Remember, if you want more detailed information on this, go to my video that is just related to the introduction and conclusion. Okay, so we have discussed at PCA, the upper school teachers do not want you to start with a transition word here. So that's what we're going to do in 5th grade so we don't build any habits that we have to break later. And I have told you it's not going to set you up for success if you start with these are 3 reasons why. So you're just going to trust me and you're not going to do it. Just like we trust God with everything he tells us to do, even if we can't see the big picture. God sees the big picture of your life, and I see the big picture of writing. Okay, so here we go. The job of this sentence, essentially, what you need to know now, the job of the first sentence in my conclusion is to rephrase the first sentence in my introduction. Okay, I'm going to kind of list the topic for my essay. There are many big events for families to attend throughout the year at Prestonwood Baptist Church. Now, moving on to the job of my last sentence, the job of the last sentence in my conclusion is to rephrase the last sentence in my introduction. Most specifically, in 5th grade, we are learning to list the 3 main points again, keeping in mind that, yes, that's not always the requirement. And when you get older, you will learn even more advanced, stronger writing strategies. But this is the way to set you up for success in 5th grade. So here's how we restated them. The gift of Christmas, the Christmas tree lighting festival, and the Easter party are 3 major events that people look forward to each year. Remember, whatever order you list them in your main ideas in the introduction, it has to stay in that exact same order in your body paragraphs, and then you need to list them in the exact same order again in the conclusion. Okay, and then you put it together and you get this big, long, beautiful essay. I'm not going to read it all right now because that would take a while and you'd go to La La Land. But listen up. I've kind of highlighted it for you if you're looking at it as a whole. So like in each paragraph, the topic sentence is black. And then I follow on, so in my introduction, I've got the like the extra info sentence and then the concluding sentence. And then in our body paragraphs, kind of started with the black topic sentence, then red, blue, and green extra information sentences. Keeping in mind, when you're older and actually later in the year in 5th grade, we will add a concluding sentence to our paragraphs, but we get to leave it off now because we're just starting out. Okay, so if you are a student in my class in 2025, this is the activity we did in class after this lesson. We, as a class, we read a different essay and then we broke it down and we're like, okay, what was the main point? We're just focusing on the body paragraphs, okay? But we're like, okay, what was the main point of this first paragraph? And then we're like, okay, how would I summarize the main idea of the 3 supporting details in that paragraph? The purpose of this, guys, is just getting you to kind of really to solidify in your brains. Every sentence has a job to do. And this is an example of a very simple essay where each sentence does the job it's supposed to do. And then we just looked at this kind of, and we zoomed in when we did it in class. And then this is what we discussed in class. Okay, so how about I read it one paragraph at a time? So let me read the introduction for context. Okay. There are hundreds of unique countries around the world. Each one has its own special traditions, food, and lifestyles. 3 of the most popular are Germany, America, and Spain. Okay, that was the introduction. Now, here's the paragraph that we're going to break down, or that we broke down in class. First of all, Germany is a major country that is well known worldwide. Berlin, the capital, is one of its most popular tourist destinations. It is rich in history and famous for the Berlin Wall, which split the city in half from 1961 to 1989. Today, Berlin is also very dog-friendly. People are often seen with their dogs riding in baskets, on bikes, and at the mall, and even in restaurants. Okay, fun fact, I lived in Berlin and I had a little dog that rode everywhere with me, so this paragraph is dear to my heart. Okay, so how did I break this down? Or how did we do this in class? Sorry. Okay, the main point of that paragraph was Germany. Now listen up, guys. In class, we talked about how in the sample essay, intentionally made my topic sentence for Germany very, very general. And what that does is it's going to make it easier with your supporting details because, as you know, the supporting details must be on topic and more specific about your point. So if I write a very general point, it leaves me open to kind of have more freedom with my supporting details. So in the paragraph we just read, I wrote a topic sentence just introducing, hey, this paragraph is going to be about Germany. And then I wrote a supporting detail sentence about Berlin being the capital, so a specific city in Germany. And then I got even more specific with my last 2 supporting sentences, and they kind of backed up more about Berlin. So it went very general, specific, even more specific. So the arrows kind of show the pattern. But altogether, even still, this sentence about it being a dog-friendly city, it's also still about Germany. It's just about a specific city in Germany. So that's one way you can structure your paragraph. Just always think of it as an ice cream cone that goes from very general to like the tip of it. We talked about this in class, getting more specific, teeny tiny details. Okay, let's look at the next body paragraph. Additionally, the United States is known as a country where people live a life of luxury. Everything is convenient in the U.S. For example, there are incredible mega stores like Walmart, Target, and Costco, where you can get almost anything in one place. Most people also own cars, and large parking lots make it easy to run errands quickly. Okay, this is how we broke it down in class. We said, okay, the main point of that paragraph was the United States. However, I listed extra information in that topic sentence that was specific. I specifically said about the United States that it's known for the comfortable lifestyle. So if you do this, any information, any main big ideas that you're writing about in your topic sentence, you're going to need to stay on that topic as you get smaller. You're going to elaborate on them. So because this is about the United States and a comfortable lifestyle, all my supporting details sentences have to be backing up the comfortable lifestyle in the United States. So if you don't want your supporting details to have to get that specific, just write a more general topic sentence. I'm just looking at this here and I'm realizing it says first point, but this is our second point because it's our second body paragraph. Anyway, not a big deal. Okay, so I said in my topic sentence, the comfortable lifestyle in the United States. So then I wrote a sentence about saying the United States is known for convenience. So that is specifically an example of why our lifestyle is comfortable. Everything's convenient. And then I broke it down even further and added on to the idea of convenience by saying mega stores make life convenience and easy transportation like cars and large parking lots make life convenient. That is dear to my heart because, as I mentioned, I lived in Berlin and Germany and life was not as convenient there. I did not have a car. I rode my bike everywhere or took trains, and it was not convenient to do all my grocery shopping and have to carry it back on my bike. So, little tidbit for you. Okay, and then let's read our last sentence. Oh my goodness gracious. Hang on. Just a second. Okay. Oh yes. Okay, we're good. Okay. So sorry, I had a little confusing moment there, but we're good. And I'm not recording this whole video because that took a long time. Okay, let me go back and read the paragraph about Spain. Okay, here we go. Lastly, Spain is famous for its lively and festive culture. Many cities host colorful festivals throughout the year, such as, oh goodness, I don't remember how to pronounce these, La Tomatina and Las Fallas. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Music and dancing are an important part of everyday life, and people often gather in public squares to enjoy performances. The nightlife is extremely active, with many young people eating dinner late and staying out celebrating well past midnight. Okay, another fun fact for you. I also lived in Barcelona in Spain, and I did not like it there because I am not a party animal and I wanted to go to bed before people were even going out to have dinner. Okay, but not related to this lesson. Let's get to what is related to this lesson. The body paragraph 3, again, this right here should say third point, not first point. Okay, so again, in my topic sentence about Spain, I got specific. I talked about in that sentence the lively culture. So if I do that, that's fine, but then that's limiting my supporting detail sentences. All of my supporting detail sentences have to add on to the lively culture and be examples of that. So in the paragraph that I just read, I started with a sentence about festivals in general, and then I talked about music and dancing being a large part of their culture and the public performances, and then I added on with a sentence about nightlife. So in this specific paragraph, all of my details just went back to the lively culture. It wasn't like this one where I kind of had like heading, subheading, and even further subheadings. Either way works. The most important thing is that we stay on topic. So all of my main points must be pointing back to the topic that I wrote about in my introduction. And then within a body paragraph, all of your supporting details need to stay on topic and point back to the whole sentence that you wrote for the topic sentence for that paragraph. So it's just kind of like, do my sentences follow a logical progression of order, getting more specific as we go. Okay, and then this is just kind of what that essay looks like broken down color coding, like red introduction, black extra information sentence, green 3-point sentence, and then we've got a topic sentence followed by supporting details, topic sentence followed by supporting sentences, last topic sentence followed by supporting sentences, and then a conclusion. Okay, if you were in class today in 2025, the assignment we did after this was in Canvas. It's a daily grade. It's like all the others where we have 3 choices, 3 chances to submit it. Remember, guys, the reason is not so you can just memorize your answers and do it again. It's so you look back at the questions you got wrong, you figure out why they were wrong, and you learn from your mistakes before you try again. Okay, well, thank you. I hope this video helped, and let me know if you have any more questions.